Hello there, very good evening and welcome to another edition of Primetime News on TV1. I'm Charlotte Benedict for the Newsfirst team. Let's start off with a look at your top stories for tonight.
Who made the decisions that crumbled Sri Lanka's economy despite having the opportunity to tap IMF funds? More revelations from the top court ruling. Opposition leader says cannot expect any justice from a president who was elected by the votes of 134 MPs who made wrong economic decisions. Court decides not to extend the stay order on Sri Lanka Cricket Interim Committee based on ministers' agreement not to take action until next week. Biden and Xi agreed to restore some military-to-military communications between US and China.
Taking a look at your top story for tonight, the judgment of the Supreme Court that held that the economy of Sri Lanka collapsed as a result of unsound economic decisions taken by several individuals between 2019 and 2022 also reveals in-depth details about these unsound economic decisions that led to the crisis. This is a look at the revelations made in the judgment of the Supreme Court.
A 5-judge bench of the Supreme Court headed by the Chief Justice determined that 7 respondents in the petitions, including former President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, Mahinda Rajapaksa, Basil Rajapaksa, former Secretary to the President P.B. Jayasundara and former Governor of the Central Bank Ajit Niwad Cabral, had violated the fundamental rights of the general public by mismanaging the economy between 2019 and 2022. The judgment states that the fundamental rights guaranteed to the general public were violated by these 7 respondents. According to the Supreme Court, the government led by Gotabaya Rajapaksa had missed several opportunities to prevent the economy from falling into crisis. Among these missed opportunities is the failure to secure the final tranche in the $1.5 billion extended fund facility offered by the IMF in 2016. Sri Lanka was to secure the final tranche of $160 million during April in 2020. The Supreme Court states that the IMF was satisfied with the progress made by Sri Lanka to release the funds. In October 2019, 1 month before Gotabaya Rajapaksa came into power, the then Minister of Finance and the Governor of the Central Bank at the time had written to the IMF informing them that the government of Sri Lanka is willing to continue to work with them. However, the government of Gotabaya Rajapaksa had not taken any steps to secure this tranche even by December 2019. The judgment states that in the interim, the government of Gotabaya Rajapaksa had made massive changes to taxation without holding discussions or obtaining advice from the IMF. The government had opted to go ahead with the tax cuts against a backdrop where staff representatives of the IMF were due to conduct a review regarding the release of the funds under the facility. The judgment states that on the 8th of April 2020, Secretary to the President at the time, Dr. P.B. Jayasundara had written to the Managing Director of the IMF requesting for the tranche of the IMF facility to be provided as an emergency facility. In the letter, he had said that the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic had affected the progress of the economy. Dr. P.B. Jayasundara had also informed the Managing Director of the IMF that as a result, the country is facing a serious balance of payments crisis. In the letter, Dr. Jayasundara had also noted that Sri Lanka had sought assistance from Japan, China, the World Bank, the Asian Development Bank and several other international partners. The head of the IMF for the Asia-Pacific region had responded to the letter sent by Dr. P.B. Jayasundara. He had said that the IMF is willing to further support Sri Lanka but needs further time to consider the request submitted. The IMF had informed Dr. Jayasundara about the need to discuss the matter with other multilateral institutions. The judgment of the Supreme Court states that the Auditor General did not find any other documents regarding any further steps that had been taken by Sri Lanka to secure these funds. The Supreme Court had concluded that the decision reached not to secure these funds was illogical and arbitrary. Who decided not to secure the $160 million from the IMF? How did they reach that decision? More details revealed by the Supreme Court determination will be revealed tomorrow.
The People's Tomorrow movement says that the citizenship of everyone who is responsible for the bankruptcy of the country should be terminated.
ආර්ථික ඝාතකයින්ගේ තීන්දුව නිසා කඩා වැටිච්ච ආර්ථිකය තුල වන්දිගෙව්වෙක් කවුද?
Who ultimately paid the price for the decision made by the economic hitmen who led the collapse of this country's economy? What is the price we are paying? Hospitals are running out of medicines and the people are paying for it with their lives. What is the value of a life? The hotelier, small businessmen, people who obtain financial facilities for their vehicles for a small business are paying the price for the decision taken by the economic hitmen. What compensation will be provided to them? The country's parliament must engage in discussions until the citizenship of these individuals are terminated. Every single cent that they earned must be used to pay compensation. That's what we call for via the court ruling.
බෙදා දෙන්න ඕන. ඒව තමයි මේ නඩු තීන්දුව හරහා අපිට සමාජය තුල නගන්න තියෙන හඬ.
මේ රට බංකොලොත් කිරීමේ ප්‍රතිඵලයක් හැටියට
Everyone who had to close their businesses, lost their income and jobs as a result of the bankruptcy of the country has become a victim of this situation. All the 23 million people of the country are being compromised economically by these decisions. They made this country bankrupt to the point that we cannot even afford to buy our children books or any stationery. They do not present any statistics in this country. How many lives did we lose owing to the medicine shortage and by deeming some surgeries non-essential in the recent past? The people who were responsible for this didn't feel accountable for the lives that were lost. Therefore, it is imperative that the lives, families, financial statuses and businesses that were affected by these decisions be rectified.
ආර්ථික ඝාතකයන්ගෙන් පියව ගන්න වැඩපිළිවෙලක් හදන්න අවශ්‍යයි.
A special alms-giving program was held at the Temple of the Tooth in Kandy today in line with the 78th birthday of former President Mahinda Rajapaksa.
The almsgiving was held at the Temple of the Tooth this morning following a special puja. A group including former President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, Basil Rajapaksa and Namal Rajapaksa attended the event.
Multiple reports had come in that Sri Lanka's economic crisis was a result of unsound economic decision. The Supreme Court went on and endorsed that point of view. But what are the steps that are really being taken against those who caused this economic crisis and have been cited in these multiple reports? Now, speaking in Parliament, opposition leader Sajith Premadasa said that it is highly unlikely that the President would take action against the 134 parliamentarians who voted him into office and were also responsible for leading the country into bankruptcy. Today's budget debate was opened by Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena. Here's what was said in Parliament.
We are now
entering an era of stability and development. This is not said by me, but many other institutions that have carried out studies into Sri Lanka have said it. Diligence was the factor that turned into a strength for the people and the government.
ව්‍යග්ගපජ්ජ සූත්‍රයේ ඉතුරු ධර්ම තුන ගැන එතුමා කිව්වේ නැහැ. ඉතිරි ධර්ම තුනේ තියෙනවා උත්තාන සම්පදා, ආරක්ක සම්පදා, කල්යාණ මිත්තා. දැන් බලන්නකෝ.
He did not mention the rest of the Vyaggapaja Sutra. You cannot talk about diligence because you protect thieves. Because he was appointed by thieves, people died owing to the weakness in the state administration. Against such a backdrop, can you quote Buddhist philosophies? You must not refer to Buddhist quotes about friendship because he neither has friends nor a mandate from the people. I wonder who is misleading him. I am willing to give him free advice on the Vyaggapaja Sutra. This was how President Gotabaya Rajapaksa fooled the people. He is fooling the people. He said he will bring forward the Empowerment of Women Act. He did not do that. He has not done anything he has promised to do. I am speaking as the Prime Minister. Empowerment of Women Act is with the legal draftsman.
Legal draftsman it will be brought to Parliament before long.
It is important that you said you will intervene as the Prime Minister. The President can at any time remove you. That is why he is standing up and raising his voice.
මාව ඉවත්
I can be removed at any time. There is no issue in that. A similar speech was given by your father when he used to sit back here. Look at the Hansard for the response that was given.
ඒකට දුන්න උත්තරේ හැන්සාඩ් එකේ බලන්න.
මටත් තේරෙනවා දැන් අගමැති මේ අගමැති පියන් කෙනෙක් වෙලා වගේ ඉන්නේ කියලා.
I can see that this Prime Minister has become a peon. That is why he mentioned my father. Do not leave. Wait for my response. This Prime Minister accused President Ranil Wickremesinghe back then when he was in the opposition, calling him the main culprit behind the bond scam. He constantly highlighted this fact. Today he is the bootlicker of the president. The businesses and everyone who got affected by the economic downfall deserve to get compensated by legal means, holding those responsible for it accountable. We have brought this up legally. Some say their democratic rights must be abolished. It must be implemented through a special presidential commission of inquiry. The president must take charge of this. I don't know whether this president, who was appointed by the vote of 134 MPs, would want to remove the democratic rights of those behind the economic downfall of the country, which is the demand of the people.
එතුමාට ආරම්භයක් ලබා දෙන්න. මොකද එතුමාගේ අතේ ඕක තියෙන්නේ.
රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මැතිතුමා මේක බාරගත්තේ.
Ranil Wickremesinghe accepted the challenge. He is not the finance minister of the SLPP. When 134 MPs appointed him as the president, he took on the national responsibility. Now these public representatives are talking about something except the budget.
විස්තරයක් යනවා අපේ මහජන නියෝජිතයා.
The crisis in the health sector of the country has also been making headlines during the past few months. Now, in court yesterday, President's Counsel Kalinga Indathissa had challenged the Criminal Investigations Department to arrest the mastermind behind the import of substandard human immunoglobulin deal, claiming that the mastermind of this racket is in the cabinet. Now, newspaper reports said that the President's Counsel, who represented the suspect in the case related to this matter, revealed these facts at the Maligakanda Magistrates Court.
The Defence Counsel indicated that the suspect is more concerned about the people of Sri Lanka than the Ministry of Health. He added that the police have not arrested the two people involved in the crime. It was revealed in court that the suspect provided 3,985 vials of human immunoglobulin and 2,985 of them have been used. According to media reports, the government has paid the suspect over 44 million rupees. Deputy Solicitor General Lakmini Girihagama informed court that the Secretary to the Ministry of Health purchased the drug according to an agreement reached with the owner of Isolis Biotech Pharma on the 4th of January. Magistrate Lochani Abe Vikrama questioned why the public was used to test the quality of the medicine. President's Counsel Kalinga Indathissa, who appeared for the defence, stressed that the responsibility lies with the Ministry of Health. The magistrate said this is not something that an ordinary person can do, adding that it can be observed that it is a joint effort by many and part of a conspiracy. The defence lawyers informed court that the CID had told the suspect that there would be an advantage if he pleaded guilty. The magistrate ordered the owner of Isolis Biotech Pharma, who was arrested, be remanded until the 29th of November. Maligakanda magistrate Lochani Abe Vikrama has directed the CID to immediately investigate, arrest and present any person of any status related to this incident to court. Recently, it was revealed that 22,500 vials of substandard human immunoglobulin produced using human blood was ordered by placing forged documentation. Initially, it was mentioned that the vials were imported to the country. However, later it was revealed that the vials were in fact produced in Sri Lanka. Former Health Minister of Sri Lanka, Kehelia Rambukwalas, said that saline or a similar product was sold to the Health Minister as human immunoglobulin. The value of the consignment of human immunoglobulin is estimated at almost 1 billion rupees.
Newsfirst with the people.
The Court of Appeal today decided not to further extend the interim order barring the interim committee for Sri Lanka cricket from functioning after the Minister of Sports undertook not to take any further steps on the Gazette issued appointing the interim committee. The petition filed by the chairman of Sri Lanka Cricket, Shammi Silva, against the appointment of the interim committee for SLC was taken up for consideration today. Court of Appeal Justice Neil Iddavala recused himself from hearing the matter, citing personal grounds. The petition filed by the Sri Lanka Cricket chairman Shammi Silva against the appointment of an interim committee to govern the affairs of SLC was taken up again today for the extension of the order issued barring the interim committee from functioning. After Court of Appeal Justice Neil Iddavela recused himself from hearing the matter, the President of the Court of Appeal had appointed Justices D.N. Samarakon and Sobitha Rajakaruna to consider the matter. So far, 3 justices of the Court of Appeal have recused themselves from hearing this matter. Appearing for the chairman of SLC Shammi Silva, President's Counsel Romesh De Silva sought an order from court to further extend the interim order issued on the 7th of November. President's Counsel Udita Igalaheva, appearing for the Minister of Sports Roshan Ranasinghe on the instructions of Attorney at Law G.G. Arul Pragasam, expressed strong objection against this request. The President's Counsel contended that the chairman of the SLC had concealed facts and misled court in obtaining the interim order. He argued that the matter is not coming up before the same justices who initially considered the petition and granted the interim order, and therefore the order has now expired and cannot be further extended by court. He said that the petitioner should clarify facts to court and seek a fresh interim order. Additional Solicitor General Milinda Gunathilaka, appearing for the Secretary to the Ministry of Sports, and Attorney Suren Nyanaraj, who appeared on behalf of the Interim Committee, associated themselves with the submissions of the President's Counsel, appearing for the Ministry of Sports. The Court of Appeal decided not to further extend the interim order upon the undertaking by the respondents not to take any further steps regarding the gazette issued appointing the Interim Committee until Monday. The petition will be taken up again next Monday.
Sri Lanka's Sport Minister Roshan Ranasinghe revealed in Parliament that he faces death threats. He made this revelation while raising a privilege question in Parliament today.
මීට දින කිහිපයකට කලින් ප්‍රසිද්ධියේ මාධ්‍යවේදීන් කැඳවලා මාධ්‍ය සාකච්ඡාවක් තියලා ක්‍රිකට් ආයතනයේ ප්‍රධානියා
At a recent press briefing, the chief of Sri Lanka cricket, Shammi Silva, said that they would come to a place the minister wants or they would take him elsewhere. Sri Lanka cricket managed to draw in Sudat Chandrasekhara, who I had provided several positions. This is a recording mentioning an assault. These 2 statements depict a threat to myself and my family. I have filed a complaint over this with the Criminal Investigations Department, and at the same time I request you draw your attention to my security as well. The reason is that these people are powerful and will use their money everywhere. I have proven that as well. They may try to discredit me by sending some money to claim that I solicited a bribe. They may try to even add drugs to my bag. There is a gambling mafia involved as well. Please consider the matter of security as it is your responsibility as well. They have filed a defamation case against me. It is a concern for me as to where they get this type of might and power. I request that you and the Parliament to consider this matter.
මට ප්‍රශ්නයක්. ඉතින් මේ සම්බන්ධයෙන් ගරු ඔබතුමාගේත් පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේත් අවධානය යොමු කරන්න කියන ඉල්ලීම විශේෂයෙන් කරනවා. බොහොම ස්තුතියි.
ඔබතුමා ලිඛිතව ඉල්ලීම ඉදිරිපත් කරන්න.
හොඳයි.
Sri Lanka police said that the security detail provided to Sports Minister Roshan Ranasinghe has been increased. Police spokesperson and attorney at law SSP Nihal Talduwa told Newsfirst that, as per the request made by the Sports Minister, 3 more personnel were added to the existing detail of 7 ministerial security division officers.
The conduct of COPE Chairman Professor Ranjit Bandara was discussed in Parliament again.
කෝප් කමිටුවේ සභාපතිතුමා හැටියට කටයුතු කරන රංජිත් බණ්ඩාර මැතිතුමා බොහොම පැහැදිලිව කැන්ඩි ක්‍රිකට් කැම්පස් ප්‍රොජෙක්ට් එකේ
Professor Ranjit Bandara, who serves as the COPE chairman, had also served as a consultant for Sri Lanka cricket in the Kandy Cricket Campus project. I will table all the documents to be placed in the Hansard. Can this person serve as the chairman of COPE that is looking into Sri Lanka cricket? In addition, there is a conflict of interest that has come to light. That is, can he continue to function as the COPE chairman without disclosing these details? There is also the matter of the Business Management School of Colombo Consultancy Agency for the Brain Centre of Sri Lanka Cricket. Who is the chairman of the Business Management School of Colombo? It is Professor Ranjit Bandara. At the Committee on Public Finance, I, being a member of the opposition, was silenced. I was only told that I can attend and cannot comment. Then there was a person who was seated behind parliamentarians Hesha and Marikar. I get calls from overseas questioning how Professor Ranjit Bandara's son is seated during a COPE session. He is Kanishka Bandara. What right does he have to attend COPE hearings?
සභාපතිතුමාගේ පුතා කොහොමද කෝප් එකේ වාඩි වෙන්නේ කියලා. කනිෂ්ක බණ්ඩාර මහත්මයා. මොකද්ද ඔහුට තියෙන අයිතිය කෝප් එකට එන්න?
පිටස්තර කෙනෙකුට සහභාගී වෙන්න බෑ කෝප් රැස්වීමකට. ඒක හරි. නමුත් එතුමා කියලා තියනවලු එයාගේ ප්‍රවෘත්ති ලේකම් කියලා. එයා
මටත් පුළුවන් ද ප්‍රවෘත්ති ලේකම් සම්බන්ධීකරණ ලේකම් අරගෙන කන්සල්ටටිව් කමිටුස් වලට යන්න අවසරය තියෙනවද?
ඔබතුමාට ඒ අවස්ථාව නොදීපු ගැන අපි සොයලා බැලුවා. ඒක වැරදි.
නෑ කනගාටුවෙන් මට වැඩක් නෑ. කනගාටුව හරියන්නේ නෑ ගරු කතානායකතුමා. මේක බරපතල උල්ලංඝනය කිරීමක්. මෙතුමාට සදාචාර සම්පන්න අයිතියක් නෑ කෝප් එකේ චෙයාමන් වෙන්න. කරුණු කාරණා දත්ත සාක්ෂි හේතු ඔක්කොම ඉදිරිපත් කළා මම මේ කියන්නේ.
ඔබතුමා මේ අවස්ථාවේ චෝදනාවක් හැටියට කරනවා මේක. නමුත් අපිටත් පරීක්ෂණයක් කරලා බලන්න වෙනවා මේකේ සත්‍යතාවය අසත්‍යතාවය.
මේ වෙලාවේ මූලික කටයුතු කරන අවස්ථාව. එතුමා අවස්ථාවක් අරගෙන කාරණා පැහැදිලි කරා. ඔබතුමා පැහැදිලිව කිව්වා මොකද මෙතුමා චෝදනා කරන මන්ත්‍රීතුමා මේ සභාවේ නැහැ.
Chairman of the Committee on Public Enterprises, Professor Ranjit Bandara, responded to the allegations made against him. In a statement, the COPE chairman said that all members attended the session in question and several other MPs also attended with special permission. He said that the session took place with the utmost transparency and with a large participation. Professor Ranjit Bandara in his statement noted that it was difficult to control a large number of people when matters surrounding Sri Lanka cricket that have led to much criticism and discussion across all spheres was taken up, adding that he decided to use a hand signal as means to indicate to the MPs that one person must speak instead of all of them speaking at once. He noted that he was disappointed that his actions were misinterpreted. The chairman of the Committee on Public Enterprises noted that when Tilanga Sumadipala chaired Sri Lanka cricket in 2018, he was requested to produce a concept paper for the launch of a cricket school. He noted that the concept paper was prepared for a Colombo business school and he had agreed to provide consultancy services for the launch process. Professor Ranjit Bandara stresses that he did not charge any fee for this purpose. He added that if he had to charge a fee, it would be for providing professional services and that it was not an advance pay for the post that he is serving in today. And he added that he was disappointed that these events are being misinterpreted. The Sri Lanka Audit Service Association, in a letter to Speaker of Parliament, noted that the conduct of the chairman of the Committee on Public Enterprises will have a negative impact on parliamentary affairs. They requested that the current COPE chairperson be removed and be replaced with an individual who can exercise the duties in a proper manner.
වර්තමාන සභාපතිවරයාගේ
The conduct of the current chairperson leads to serious concerns on whether the present investigations will take place in an independent and an unbiased manner. Our members who attended previous sessions have raised allegations to this effect with us. We informed the speaker of these allegations that we requested and that the current COPE chair be removed as he has no moral right to hold that position. He sent certain signals discreetly. In his justification, he said that he only said that those two people not to speak at once. However, we would like to know whether a person who chairs such a committee should use such signals to tell two people not to speak at once. If the speaker went to do the same for all 225 MPs in the House, he would become the best mime performer. The individual in question is not suitable to hold such an esteemed position. We urged him to step down from that post with immediate effect.
වහාම එම තනතුරෙන් ඉල්ලා අස්වෙන්න කියන කාරණේ.
An event analysing the 2024 budget organised by CMA Sri Lanka was held in Colombo yesterday.
President of CMA Sri Lanka, Professor Lakshman R. Vatavala, expressed his views on brain drain.
If we want to stop the brain drain, if we want to keep the technical people in this country, if we are to keep the professionals in this country, then we can't pay to maybe subsidize some unnecessary, unimportant people. The country is going to lose. All the IT technicians are going, doctors are going, engineers are going. Then we have to see a way how it can be kept. As a professional body, I think we have to do this. Maybe I saw that many universities are to be set up. Does the government have to set up universities? They do not have the money. You must now go for public-private partnership. Then the private sector will come and do the job for you. You give the authority. You don't have to put the money. If the government wants to do it, they have to do it. Today they are talking, they can't even do anything because the people are only talking. Today we should have people who can do the job. We don't have people who can only talk. Now the other important things, integrity and honesty. That is the most important thing. Today look at the government, if you want to order medicine, that is also played out. Every area, people are dying, you're getting wrong drugs. So that is really one of the major problems, integrity and honesty. Even sometimes auditors have been brought in where certain organizations, which they are talking now, where they say the auditors have not or maybe not pointed that out.
CEO of the Advocata Institute, Dhananath Fernando, expressed his views on economic transformation and SOE reforms.
There are a lot of state-owned enterprises reforms which was not in the budget but which has to implement, and that is one of the key recommendations even in the IMF governance report, because that SOE law has to go through and SOE reforms has to be done. Now the gravity of these SOE reforms was just mentioned in, if I remember right, page number 209 in the English version of the budget document. It was in all three languages, and one particular state-owned enterprise reform which was mentioned in the budget was, I think, which was touched upon by a few other speakers, is recapitalization of state banks, which is about 450 billion. As you know, the devil is in the details. So when you go through it, they have specifically mentioned that the reason for the recapitalization of the two state banks or the banking sector is because of the debt incurred by two state institutes, which is equivalent to 1.8 trillion. Now, our interest payments is about 2.6 trillion, and our debt accumulated on those two institutes are 1.8 trillion. And President's allocation for social safety net is about 200 billion. So that means if you leave this 1.8 trillion as an equivalent of the social safety net, basically you can pay 9 years of social safety net from the debt of these two institutes. I just wanted to give a flavor of the gravity of this debt. So the reason that they have proposed to recapitalize these two banks are because most of the debt is in these two banks. And with the debt restructuring process with Mr. Hulangamu just spoke, when you are restructuring that debt, basically these banks are going to get a massive hit. Basically their capital adequacy ratio will not be adequate. So because of that, they have to recapitalize the bank, which is 450 billion from the taxpayer money. Now imagine how much is 450 billion for individual citizen. That's approximately about 19,500 rupees per Sri Lankan. So if you are a household of probably 4, you are contributing about 80,000 rupees just for recapitalization of those banks, which is coming from losses of state-owned enterprises.
Chairman of the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce, Duminda Hulangamua, expressed his views on the proposals of the Budget 2024 and its impact on businesses.
Now, if you're talking of FDI and bilateral projects, we feel the biggest elephant in the room is the external debt restructuring. Until such time we are successfully able to restructure the external debt and get a certification from IMF that we're debt sustainable, and the external credit accept that credit repayment. Then once you become debt sustainable and get a certification, and that is the only time that Sri Lanka can open out confidently to international markets. We have to find a way of how we can overcome this problem. We Sri Lankans generally are critical by nature in every situation that we come across. So we need to find a way out of the current problem we are facing as a nation. And I always, in every forum I go to, I say that this is not one man's problem or a problem for people. It's a problem of the entire country. And unless we as a citizen take ownership to the problem and consider it our problem, there's no one else going to come and resolve it for you.
Delivering the keynote address, Treasury Secretary Mahinda Siriwardana highlighted the importance of maintaining fiscal discipline.
And in the past, whenever Sri Lanka has undergone a reform period and stabilization is achieved, the tendency has been to slip back into old habits. The country can no longer afford such slippage in the absence of economic buffers to withstand any further shocks.
Sri Lankan authorities have appointed a committee to probe the incident that led to the death of a student at the Veragoda Primary School in Vallampitiya. The committee was appointed by the Governor of the Western Province, Marshal of the Air Force, Roshan Gunathilaka.
The committee was appointed by the Governor of the Western Province, who visited the Veragoda Primary School in Vallampitiya for inspection.
We conducted an inspection and we will provide our observation report to the Governor, and only after that can we reveal information about this incident.
The Governor of the Western Province stated that after receiving the investigation report, within a week, necessary action will be taken against those accountable. Shehansa Netsharniko Dagoda, a grade 1 student, died tragically when a concrete wall where the water taps were installed collapsed. She was the youngest child in the family and resided in the Vallampita area. Shehansa's mother works abroad and she grew up under the care of her grandmother and aunt. Shehansa's mother, who was abroad, returned this afternoon. The Deputy Director of the Colombo National Hospital, Dr. Rukshan Bellana, stated that one of the 5 students who were admitted with injuries in the accident is receiving further treatment in the intensive care unit.
Over the course of the past 10 days, Guma teams have been travelling around the country and identifying numerous issues faced by the people in rural Sri Lanka. The journey in search of a better future for rural Sri Lanka continued today.
ළමයි ජීවත් කරන්න ඉතර බුගටක් යනවා කියලා රැයට 8-9 විතර නගිරින් ළමයිට කන්නත් අරගෙන මෙයා කරලා අර වෙද්දි තමයි බුදෙක් ඉන්න ලොකු දෙවිනියා ඉන්නවා එයා පව් එයා ඉන්න ටාගට් එක මට දෙන්න බෑ මිස් එයා කියනවා තාත්තා මට මේ විදිහට මට ආහල් සපොද්ද කරෝනේ තාත්තා මට ආහල් කාඩ් දෙමෝනේ මට කොහොමද මට දෙන්න විදියක් නෑ වාස්තව කොහොමද මන් දෙන්නේ මට දෙන්න බැරි කවුතිය තියෙනවනේ මෙයා දැන් ලෙඩෙක් biar ledek ඇවිදින්න බෑ කකුල නොඩි යන්නේ දැන් මොකද වෙන්නේ
අර බෙහෙත් කරන බෙහෙත් යාතයි කකුලෙන් කපන්න ටිකක් කිය.
The Guma team met Ranjit, a resident of Vellamudawa village in the Tirapane Divisional Secretariat in Anuradhapura. Ranjit was once producing tiles and running a successful business. But all of this was lost when he fell sick. At 42 years old, he has 3 children. He now works as a labourer for a daily wage. This is the plight of Ranjit and his family today. Ranjit's story brought tears to the eyes of everyone there. This is the Madhavava village in Kekirava. Students of the Gamini Vidyalaya, which is located close to the Kirimetiyava forest, have to carry on with their academic activities in constant fear of wild elephants.
බෝඩ් එක ගහලා තින්නේ නමට මට පේන විදියට. ඕකේ අලි වැටක් ගන්නවා කියලා දැන් අවුරුදු ගානක් ඔය ඩෝසරේකින් කපලා වෙන් කරා. නමුත් අලි වැට ගහලා නැහැ. මේ වෙනකොට ඉස්කෝලේ ළමයි කොහොම බයෙන් ඉන්නේ.
Villagers in Mathura had been severely affected by floods over the past few months. Yet, the people of North Ketiape in Mulatiana have been suffering for a long time owing to the lack of clean drinking water.
ප්‍රධාන වශයෙන් බලපාන ජල ගැටලුවට සුදුසු විසඳුමක් ලබා දෙන කින ඉල්ලීම තමයි ගමේ මේ සියලුම දෙනා ඇවිල්ලා මේ ඉන්නේ ඒකට.
The access road leading to the village is dilapidated. However, people here have gotten accustomed to using this dilapidated road. However, parents here say that students suffer a lot during the rainy season.
යනකොට මේ බයිසිකල් වලින් අරන් යන්න බෑ ළමයි. ලෙඩ දුක හැදුනා කියන්න බෑ. මේ ප්‍රශ්න ගොඩාක් තියෙනවා ඉතින්.
The Guma team in Mena inquired into the woes of the people living there. Many people here who suffer due to the lack of clean drinking water are also kidney patients. These farmers who find it difficult to make ends meet have no money to purchase bottled water. Finding water in this village is no easy task. Guma teams today were able to meet with the people living in the districts of Anuradhapura, Mena and Mathura. The University of Peradeniya have also joined hands with the Guma Door Too program. Guma Door Too teams, accompanied by students from the University of Peradeniya, will visit many more villages tomorrow to understand and recognize the issues that have gone unanswered.
The 48th day of the LOLC DAVIA program continued on Wednesday, catering to the Ratnapura district.
The second leg of the LOLC DAVIA program will provide school books and stationery items to schools with less than 100 students. Students will be provided school books and stationery for a period of 1 year under the program. This World Initiative is a collaboration between the LOLC Group and the Ministry of Education. Yesterday, the LOLC DAVIA program took place at the Balangod Education Zone in the Ratnapura district. School books and stationery items were given to the students at the Uravala Vidyalaya, Kirimatithanna Vidyalaya, Kirti Patdeniya Vidyalaya, Gataraluwa Vidyalaya, Mahavalathanna Vidyalaya, Vikiliya Tamil Vidyalaya, Haramitikala Tamil Vidyalaya and Velekumbura Tamil Vidyalaya. School books and stationery items for several other local schools were given at the Balangoda Zonal Education Office. The LOLC DAVIA program will continue to create a bright future for the country's student population.
DAVIA, the second leg of the DAVIA program to provide much needed school books and stationery items to school children in Sri Lanka. 17th of November, Ratnapura.
දයේ දරුවන්ගේ අනාගතය වෙනුවෙන් දිවිසවිය LOLC ප්‍රජාසත්කාරක මෙහෙවර.
US President Joe Biden said the US and China have agreed to resume military-to-military communications in an effort to ease rising tensions.
President Joe Biden said China and the United States are back to direct, open, clear communications following a rare meeting with China's President Xi Jinping in California today. It was the first time the pair had spoken in person in more than a year, but there were still signs of tension between the two. Biden repeated his views as that Xi is a dictator. China's foreign ministry later criticized the remarks, but they do not appear to have taken the shine off what both sides are portraying as a largely successful meeting. Biden also said both leaders had agreed to establish a direct line of communication with one another. At a news conference following the summit, which took place at a historic country estate near San Francisco, Biden said a lack of communication was how accidents happen and added that both presidents should now pick up the phone and be directly heard immediately. China severed military-to-military communications last year after then US House Speaker Nancy Pelosi visited Taiwan. Beijing views self-ruled Taiwan as its territory and has threatened to annex it by force if necessary. Biden said that while many disagreements remained between the pair, President Xi had, quote, just been straight, unquote. He said the talks were, quote, some of the most constructive and productive discussions we've had, unquote.
The official ICC Men's Cricket World Cup India 2023.
Australia took on South Africa in the second semi-final of the ICC Cricket World Cup 2023 today. Now, cricket fans can, of course, watch and listen to all the action of the ICC Cricket World Cup via the MTV MBC networks, the official local broadcasting rights holder of the tournament. The matches are being streamed live on www.sirasatv.lk. Now, in more sports news, Women's Big Bash League or WBBL team Sydney Thunder announced that a specially dedicated seating zone at the iconic Sydney Cricket Grounds or the SCG will be named after Sri Lankan women's cricket captain Chamari Athapattu. The specific seating zone will be named Chamari Bay with an aim to celebrate the Sri Lankan skipper's cricketing prowess.
Sri Lanka women's cricket captain Chamari Athapattu is the third highest run scorer in the ongoing Women's Big Bash League. Incidentally, this is the first time that an overseas dedicated seating zone will be named after a Sri Lanka player.
My final group match in the Women's Big Bash League will be on the 27th of November. Therefore, they have prepared a dedicated seating zone at the SCG named Chamari Bay. This is because of my performance during this season. This is the first time such an honour has been bestowed on a Sri Lanka women's cricketer.
And that's a wrap of Primetime News on TV1 for tonight. Thank you very much for tuning in. Until we meet again, take care and God bless.